The Lave Radio Project was our last best hope for news. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long, located in neutral territory. A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads, community members and developers. A shining beacon in space, all alone on a Tuesday night. It was the dawn of the third chapter of Elite. The year's space legs came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the Lavian stations. The year is 3307. The name of the place? Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 348 of Lave Radio, live from virtual LaveCon. This is the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix to Fire, otherwise known as Colin Ford, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder Bar for this episode, we have our staff liaison, Commander Psychit.
Hello.
Hello. Joining us from his remote-connected, hyper-intelligent car, we have our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome from Gretna Green. Weddings performed on request.
And I finally bring in our Head of Health and Safety, Commander Edelweiss, otherwise known as Ben Moss-Woodward.
And now everyone can see how little time I actually spend in front of the microphone. This isn't going to be fun.
No. So if you wish, you can join us live at LaveCon. We are, I don't think we're hanging out in game. We're all too busy hanging out at the LaveCon Zoom chat. So if you'd like to join us there, it's the tiny URL, LaveCon21, if you wish to join us. If you can't get to us there, you can see what we're up to at the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or you can go to YouTube or on Facebook, and we're here, and our ugly faces are on the screen. So we will just quickly go around everybody, see how they've been for quite a while. We'll start with Shan. How have you been, apart from obviously getting remarried?
I've been pretty well, actually. As people may have seen, I've been taking a break from things, just sort of reconnecting with people. Just what we found was life and COVID and everything just stretched the friendships and the connections. And so we took some time out just to kind of build those back up again. Ready. So, yeah, I'm currently on holiday for 2 weeks. So we drove up from the Cotswolds today to Gretna Green, and then we're pootling our way across to Newcastle, and then around about. So it's kind of a whistle-stop tour of Britain, really. So, yeah, been doing well. Oh, actually, Mrs. Shan wants to say hello. So if you can prepare yourselves for the elusive Mrs. Shan.
Hi.
Hello, Mrs. Shan.
Hello, Mrs. Shan. We all thought you were made up.
And congratulations on the 20 children.
Okay, Psychit, how have you been? What have you been up to?
I've been on holiday. It's been great. I've had a week off, and we went to a little chalet in the middle of nowhere with a hot tub and Prosecco, and just completely unwound, and it was beautiful. but now I'm back, and I've played a little bit of games and stuff, and just been chilling, and it's been really, really nice for a week. But back raring to go. Let's do this.
Excellent. And of course, Ben, how have you been this week?
Yeah, I'm delighted I've been able to make it, actually, because I've been up north, and then a spot of real life happened, and I wasn't sure whether real life would allow me to escape down to the recording studio, as it were. But it did. I'm here, and that's all good. I now have I have coffee. I have my computer back again, and then I have work again tomorrow.
Yes. Well, just quickly, for myself, real life hits quite hard this week. Unfortunately, those that were fans of the Xeno Bunny, he's been taken ill again, and unfortunately, he's just coming back from the vet this afternoon. So, yes.
So the Xeno Bunny, does it evolve like a Pokemon?
No, it just gets.
I was expecting the worst there, Colin, to be honest, after unfortunately
what it hatched.
Well, yeah, on Thursday night we had a call from the vet saying he's not going to make it through the night, but he did. So
he's a tough Xeno Bunny.
He does seem to be.
So what's the plan when it departs, Colin? Are you going to eat it, use it to bury it, or
Shan, behave yourself?
The bunny will be cremated, and and they will send you a little urn, Shan, just for you. Right. Well, obviously, there's no in-game activity because basically we are here. So I guess that brings us round to the development news, and what a blooming week it has been. First of all, we had on Wednesday the development update. Development update 1, which unfortunately, let's just say, I don't think it went down too well. Psychic, what was your first impression of it?
My first impression was not great. I'm not going to lie. However, it was, I kind of sat in the Burp It Discord for a little bit and saw all of their reactions to it. And I like to consider myself to be a relatively positive person, but I must admit, I was incredibly grateful that I wasn't streaming this week, because I didn't want to have to try and assuage other people's concerns, kind of thing, with it, because I was a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. Yep. But then, having seen the stuff that people in the Burp It Discord were saying, kind of leveled my mentality with it a little bit, as in, like, they can't give us stuff that is coming. I was maybe expecting too much. And I think that's kind of half on me, half on Frontier, that expectations, they sometimes like heighten expectations a little bit too much, that make us expect a lot and expect the earth, and then maybe we need to wind our expectations back a little bit. And I'm happy that it was a forum post, because I feel like a developer a live stream would have been completely overtaken by a string of abuse in chat, and having everything laid out fully just there gives people the opportunity to reread, go back through, interpret it as it is. There's no somebody smiling and nodding at a camera because one person says something in chat, and that person in chat thinking that it's the absolutely everything, and that means that this is definitely happening. No one can construe that from a written piece of work. Would I have preferred something maybe a little bit more substantial? Yeah, but if they were making it as concise as possible, then I'm happy that we at least got something, and maybe I'm a little bit more glass half full than I was when I first read it.
Excellent. Okay, Shan.
I'm just sort of wondering when I saw it whether they have failed to read the room, because as Sai just said, a forum post does allow you to go through and check it and read it and digest it, which is great. However, they said they were doing a live stream. So, and where they are at the moment is they absolutely have to hit everything they say they're going to do in the way they said they'll do it. And changing a plan halfway through causes the sort of reaction that we've seen to it. So if they'd done a live stream and then at the same time as the live stream posted it up, I think that would have probably been a better way of handling that situation. I'm just bashing my head on thinking, did they fail to read the room, read the mood of the community, and then we actually, instead of quenching fires, it
yeah. Well, I've got an opinion on that. I'll come back to that in a minute. Ben.
So, like Psychit, I agree that I actually think it makes more sense as a forum post. Harkening back to Paige's chat earlier, it saves the developers from a lot of immediate vitriol that is not positive, is not constructive, is stuff they all know. Why expose the poor guys who you've pulled out on stream, which is probably going to be somebody like Kay or something, Kay or Dav or something like that. And it's not really, they don't deserve to take the community's shit for every mistake that's happened. So having it as a post protected the poor developer they had lined up for that. I agree with Shan, though, that I also think they failed to read the room because we're looking for hope. And this forum post does not really give hope, I feel.
No.
And I know that's not what Shan meant by reading the room, but still not reading the community that well either.
It is part of what I meant, Ben.
Okay. I also personally feel very let down that Frontier pulled out of coming to LaveCon at the last minute. I know we had I know Dav and Dom showed up and they've been around, but we've not had any CMs even just show up and say hi. And I wonder if that's because they're worried as to the reaction they'd get from us if they came along.
Oh, well,
or I wonder why that is, because it's the first LaveCon that Frontier hasn't shown up in an official capacity, and that feels a right shame.
Although, yeah, I'll agree with you there. I'm a little bit disappointed that we haven't had an official Frontier presence this year. That could be because basically they wouldn't be able to bring anything new to the table, because one thing that they've been discussing has been the same points over and over again, which is something that I wanted to say, was that most of this development news was basically what we were going to get in Update 5, and there was one paragraph where we were looking for that hope, to which the exact thing was actually, because everything's been thrown out of whack, we're having to reevaluate where we are.
Yeah.
And if that's all they've got to say in the matter, then we ain't going to get anything more. And on top of that, that the questions that would be asked would be all the same kind of we're not happy. Why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you do it that way? And if you expose the developers to that kind of onslaught, then I'm afraid to say, then we've already seen the treatment of Kay over on her personal streams and things like that. You don't want to expose your development people to that kind of abuse. So, back to Shan, I guess.
Okay, well, what I was going to add regarding this is, if you think back to the last Lave Radio I was on, I said about them needing to have someone to step up and take responsibility and lead it. And I completely agree that, the developers have been working their socks off. I mean, the patch notes, they have been working so hard. The community managers, I do feel sorry for, because they have been on the thick end of a lot of the backlash. And to be fair, I don't think that backlash was justified towards them. I think what was needed was someone to step up and saying, I take responsibility for this, it's my mess to sort out and whatever. And what you're seeing is they are hiding, strong word, I don't know, but they're hiding behind a wall of secrecy. And until that's addressed in a clear long-term roadmap form, I'm afraid this will just continue and it will just keep snowballing, because the more silence there is, the more speculation there is. And so I can understand them saying, well, actually, we won't send anyone to LaveCon officially. We won't do anything to do that because we don't want them exposed to that. However, you send the right couple of people to LaveCon who's got a thick enough skin to take it, and they can talk and they can have a drink and they can chat and be the reasonable people we are. I think that goes a long way into diffusing the situation. So it's almost counterproductive.
Psychic.
It's the CM's job to do that. It is the CM's position to be the front-facing person to the community. They are the people who will say, this is what's going on, this is what's going on, this is what the situation is. You want, and again, you constantly say that you want Braben to step forward and own this. This is the position that the CMs are in, is to tell the community what is going on. They are community managers for that very reason. That is their job.
That works to a point, Si, but if you look at how it works in industry and in the real world, you get your spokesperson to stand up and they read a government statement and blah, blah, blah. That's usually fine. You get your press secretary or you get your minister to stand up and say, this is what's going on, this is what's going to happen. But there comes a point where, if you like, the pay grade needed to convey a message goes up. And I think, normally on a day-to-day, normal situations, it is the CM's job. You're completely correct for that. However, this has been going on for nearly 2 months now. So I would argue it's gone above the CM's pay grade, if you like, or in government terms.
I would disagree entirely.
Well, it is a matter of opinion. I'm just saying that's how it works.
Because we've had Braben's done what he can to make his posts on the forums. He's made a post on the forum set explaining, look, this isn't what we expected. This is what's running here and there. It is the job of the community managers to manage community expectations at this point. I don't think we're anywhere near a point where Braben has to step forwards and go, oh, it's completely my fault that Odyssey isn't working. It is the community manager's job to say, this is what we're currently working on. And that's what they're doing.
I won't go down this particular rabbit hole, but I would suggest the fact it's been going on and actually even escalating for more than 8 weeks. I think the CMs is doing as good a job as they are being allowed to say by people higher up. Because you can see it in the frustration. If you look at what Art's been saying, when he came on the show, it was, we're going to release the roadmap, is going to set out what's going to go on. I'm going to be up front. I'm not going to, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this. Things have changed, so he's had to change his tactics. They can only communicate what they have been told to communicate.
Right.
And that's
Ben.
why I feel sorry for them, because there's obviously a gap.
Sorry, Sean, you kept on dropping out. I didn't know whether you'd finished or not.
Ben wants to say no, it's all right. It's all right. All I can say is look how it happens in the real world. But let's move on.
So I think we've got a couple of things that has been brought up by members of the community, actually, which I was thinking about as well. Is we did have Dav and Dom last night, and the Twitch stream and the Zoom meeting were all incredibly positive places, and not there wasn't a hint of negativity that I saw in the Lave radio stream or in the Twitch. I would assume the Hutton stream was the same, though I don't know about that. Maybe Norm or Grant know more there. But also, traditionally, LaveCon always has been very positive for the guys. So Raven's saying LaveCon of all places is an enthusiast space. I'd like to believe our smaller group would present a more balanced conversation and be able to quiet one or two more vocal commanders in our ranks rather than the outright abuse Frontier would get in one of their normal streams. And I saw a great thing from, I've lost it now, over on. I saw a great thing from somebody anyway over on Twitch saying very similar, but I've lost that because Twitch decided to unpause my polls, which is not very helpful. So yeah, that's basically, I think they've said more or less what I was going to say. I think Grant's agreeing with me there as well.
I mean, what did you think about the way that they highlighted the current 5 top issues that they were wanting to look at? I mean, did you find that helpful, or was it more along the lines of, oh, that's just more salt for the mill?
I find it helpful. I think it should be a permanent top feature, though. Yeah, and I know that their web team is reworking their site to provide better accessibility to things, but it's nice seeing that. I assume we're going to go into the individual things later, so I'll not dive into any of them yet.
Yeah. Okay. Now, obviously, yeah. The longer roadmap. I mean, do you think that this? I mean, the exact phrases that they've put here is that our aim was to focus on initial set of updates and then turn our attention back to consoles. That's exactly that. They haven't deviated from that at all. I think what everybody was hoping for something was something definite that Odyssey was going to be committed to after the console release, because let's be honest, Frontier do have a reputation of saying, right, that's it out the door, we're going to leave it. See Powerplay, CQC, Multicrew, prime examples. And this is going to be one of the most difficult questions I'm going to ask. We've seen a lot of other content creators throw the towel in and say, right, okay, that's it. I'm going to focus on other things now. Do you think this damage has been almost terminal to Elite Dangerous as a brand?
No, I don't think it's terminal. I think there are people that they are never going to please. There are absolutely people that they will never please because it's not the carbon copy of the game that they absolutely wanted. And I think we've discussed this a lot, that I feel like there are people, and to be honest, there's a lot of really great space games out there. So go and play a lot of really great space games. We've never been in a better time for space-related content. So bloody go out there and enjoy all of that content. Elite's still going to be there. I honestly, my personal opinion is that over time, when we get more towards the console release, I feel like we're going to have a sounder game. I can only hope that, because I love this game. It means a hell of a lot to me. And I personally don't feel that everyone is going to completely desert it. There's still loads of people streaming under the Elite Dangerous category right now. Some very popular people under the Elite Dangerous category. If it wasn't for Elite Dangerous, I'd never have got Partner. Not a chance in hell. Partner is the Elite Dangerous was my main game when I was doing that. We have plenty of other space games. There is no harm in people taking a break, like Shan has, for example, taking his break, taking his way off. The game's still going to be there when you come back. So
I'm not really going on holiday.
You took a little break before, though, didn't you? You were taking a break. You were wanting to find positive sections of it. So I think it's only fair that nobody is married to Elite Dangerous. You're not cheating on it by shagging a different game. You know, go and play a different game for a little bit.
What sort of space games do you play?
You're in Gretna Green. You can shut up right now. But it's you play a different game for a little bit. Come back to it. It'll still be here.
Yeah, I must admit, I think one of the things that really got me was the amount of other content creators who said, right, that's it. We're off to play No Man's Sky. We're off to play Star Citizen. That's it for Elite Dangerous for me, and flounced off as if that was going to hurt the game. And I just found that to be a little bit okay. You go and try those games, and you'll find that those games are still missing bits that Elite Dangerous has.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, there's no one perfect space game out there. Unless Star Citizen is a lot better than I remember it being, Ben. You see, he's shaking his head. He can't even bring himself to speak about that.
I had lovely bugs early in Star Citizen, but I'll let Shan keep going.
No, that's fine. So I do actually agree with saying it is all games have a finite lifespan with an individual, and how long that lifespan is, it can be for 30 minutes or it could be for 30 months, it can be whatever it is. So it's entirely natural, I think, for a game to have a lifespan with certain different people. I think the question I'm sort of asking myself, and hopefully other people as well, is in what way do you want the game to end? Do you want it to be on something you remember? Oh wow, I had this. It just naturally petered out. I had other things to do, and it went away. Or do you feel as though you've been amputated from it because of X, Y, and Z? So there's a slight difference. But yeah, I haven't got an issue with content creators going, do you know what? I can't get anything much out of Elite at the moment. I'm going to play X game. That's entirely fine, because in most cases they have to make a living, and they make their living from it, or it helps pay the bills. They're not doing it necessarily for fun, all of them. So therefore, they have to go where the viewers are. They have to go where the focus is. They have to go where the clicks are in order to generate that revenue. And if they flounce off and make a bit of a fuss about it, then actually it kind of helps them, because it's generating a buzz and a stir that gets people to view their channel. And I'm not saying that's why they're doing it, but I'm saying that is part of the equation of being.
I would say in some of those content creators, that's exactly why they're doing it. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Yeah, Commander Ventura has dropped in with an issue. I mean, he says he's got issues with WoW. I think a lot of people have issues with WoW at the moment. And he does think it's that bad that the CEO of Blizzard should actually apologize rather than making the person on support apologize for it all. Meanwhile, Psychit.
I would argue that a lot of content, some of the content creators that you're talking about, are flouncing off and all of that and going and playing a different game. However, there are situations, and I feel like I'm really guilty of it, as someone who can be a little, when I go super negative and I'm clearly not having fun, that my stream suffers for that very reason, because I think we have we have a fun police emote in my channel for a reason, because because sometimes I have too much fun, and if I'm not having fun in a game, it will show and it will affect all of these things, like making a revenue, trying to like help out pay the bills and all of that kind of thing. If people aren't having fun, they should be able to move on to a different game, because not having fun is going to affect just your stream in general, unless you are one of these people who just enjoy bashing the game. There is that, obviously.
I wonder how many content creators get their funding from that. I wonder, trying to think of a few names. Oh, I apologize. I got Commander Ventura's thing the wrong way round. He's with these issues, and sometimes the person on support just needs to apologize and he's happy, not the CEO himself. Right, well, moving on from the state of update 5, of the development update, obviously the next day we got update 5. Now, update 5 came with literally hundreds of fixes, but the main three that came out were team missions being implemented properly, the UI overhaul being implemented properly, and also some notable FPS improvements. Now, obviously, I'm not going to ask Shan because Shan hasn't played Odyssey for the last few weeks. Psychic, did you notice a difference once Update 5 went in?
I first played it this morning from being on holiday, because I was on holiday all last week. Hot tub, prosecco, all of that. But I played it today, and it seems brighter. I didn't feel like I was losing frames in the same way that I've been losing frames previously. Again, I've turned that FPS counter off because I find that it is literally all I'm looking at.
Yes.
So, but I really enjoyed this morning. It felt reasonably smooth and steady. Granted, that isn't the way that I was flying or using my SLV, because I'm terrible in it. But I couldn't blame the FPS on how bad I was at the video game today.
That's good. And Ben, have you tried Update 5 and have you had any improvements?
The only real chance I had with Update 5 was yesterday when we were taking our group photos at Lave Station.
Mm-hmm.
And that seemed okay. I was getting a nice solid 30 FPS or something like that, which, it's not 60 FPS, but it's better than before. I've not had a chance to investigate this. Maybe Psychic has. I heard that what they've done with the gamma is a bit of a quick fix rather than an actual fix. I've heard a lot
I've noticed. Granted, I literally just flew to Shimrata, flew to the Reenhaven, and then did some of the buckyballing stuff today.
Right.
But I hadn't really noticed.
I've not had a chance to check or anything like that. I think it was one of Obsidian Ant's videos where he was saying that it looks like they've basically taken where gamma is, and if your gamma was here, it's now all the way over there. I hadn't noticed that. It felt more to me, being in the ship just felt brighter in general, but it wasn't like a gamma shift or anything like that. It felt a little bit more like the cockpit of a Horizon ship. Okay, well,
and it not like, I associate gamma changing with being like unnecessarily bright. It doesn't feel like you're not getting to a star or anything and going, oh my god, this is blinding.
It burns.
Yeah, exactly. It's much more it feels more akin to Horizons than the full darkness of Odyssey prior to Update 5.
Okay, well, I mean, I didn't really think that Odyssey was particularly, or at least objectionably dark either, but I know a lot of people did, so...
Yeah, check out Obsidian's video. I did catch that. And I do get where he was coming from, but I couldn't explain it, if that makes sense.
I've not had a chance
go and check out Obsidian's video, because the case he makes for changing the gamma settings is fairly convincing. But then, of course, everyone has their own monitor, their own color settings, their own whatever, and your mileage may vary. So check out his video and tweak it yourself, I guess.
Yeah, but also always do the research yourself as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, on the subject of research, I mean, this was put in the notes for later, but Down to Earth Astronomy has gone into a deep dive into a lot of the graphic settings, and he's claiming that he can get between 50 and 75% improvement in FPS just by mucking about with all the new graphic sliders. So we'll put a link into the show notes for that. I must admit, I've gone and tried that, and I did see a noticeable increase in smoothness and detail, which I was quite happy with. I mean, I've been playing Odyssey extensively since Thursday, and those of you who saw the Top Shift stream on Friday will show that we'll see that not only did things seem to be vast improvement, I I was actually able to do some FPS stuff, which I haven't been able to before. And by the way, that's first-person shooter. So I haven't been able to do massacre missions before because the frame rate's that bad. I can now. And I must admit, opening up those bases is another fantastic. I'm finding that this kind of stuff really enjoyable. So I think I've kind of found the bit that I need to.
I'm so glad that you're enjoying the murder, Colin. It's good fun.
Well,
Welcome to the dark side.
It's not really. I'm just cleaning out scavengers. I'm not going assassinating people just yet.
Oh well, and give it time. Give it time.
Assassination's where it's at, isn't it, Psychics?
Well, you'll get there. It's just a lot of fun. Well, now you've got those ground missions open to you with the first person shooter aspect. I as soon as you start to delve into more, I would say settlement clearing is sort of your entry level drug, and then you can move on to some of the more nefarious kind of things.
Yeah, I haven't tried the stealth side yet.
I do love stealth assassination missions. They are bloody hard, but it's so rewarding as well, I think.
Yeah, it really is. There's definitely, they've got that. I feel like they've got that mechanic. It's almost right there. It really is. It's so much fun.
I mean, I think the one thing that I do wish they'd done is just basically added a little bit of space stuff on top of it. Say that basically if you're doing a mission, there's something spacey that you have to do as well. It just, I don't know, you're on your way to the base and some pirate decides, I've got to try and stop you from getting there. I think that would be a small improvement, but apart from that, yes.
So has anyone?
Really?
Has anyone tried a shared mission yet?
Yes. I did a shared mission on Friday night. It did not go well with Commander Pom, unfortunately.
Okay, so let's say if me, you, and Si were after a power regulator.
Yeah.
If I pick up the power regulator, does your mission update to say I've got the power regulator as well?
Yes.
Yeah, it will do.
So what happens if I get killed? Do you all fail the power regulator?
No.
Or can you come across and find bits of Shan, pick the power regulator up and continue on?
You pick the power regulator up and continue on.
Okay.
Yeah. So effectively, unless I think it's unless you're the originator of the mission, other players can die and things can carry on.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
So what you could do is you could have one person pick the mission up, hide in the ship, and everyone else do the hard work, and then they can die as much as they like, just the mission won't fail.
Yep, effectively so.
That's right.
I think I found a new career. I'll just sit in the ship while you do the hard work.
Yeah, and so basically you've got now your own crew members. Right. Well, update 5 obviously has been out for a couple of days, literally about 4 or 5 days, and reactions to it have been mixed, to be honest. I think we'll come into that later in the show. So we're just basically going to move on to the in-game events of what's been happening this week. Well, there's been 2 notable events. First of all, 4 systems have decided to break away from the Federation, completely out of nowhere. According to this, the backstory is that they are completely disgusted with the new communications. How should I say, the communications oversight, and have decided to break away from the Federation. The Federation, of course, is not happy with that, and a combat community goal is now in progress there. The other notable
didn't they have a referendum where they voted 52-48 to leave the Federation, and that's why it all kicked off?
And again, we will move away from real life just because he just had to. Right. The other notable thing is that the space dredgers have made an appearance again, suddenly turning up in Como again for no apparent reason. So yes, if you will have a second opportunity to go look at a space dredger, which I've always found great.
Which means that Stellar Screenshots this week is going to be full of dredgers.
Are they the same dredgers, Colin, or is it a different dredger from a different dredger clan?
It's a different dredger clan, but I haven't had a chance to fly over there to see if the dredger is different. As far as I'm aware, it's still the same megaship with a different front end on it. But yes.
So what would happen if the two of them in the same system, would they kind of like try and eat each other?
Well, we don't know enough about dredger culture to work out.
I'm just seeing some kind of dredger Ouroboros or something like that. Shrek over on Twitch is saying apparently there's also a new mail from Salvation.
That is correct. Then Salvation was there. Salvation won the last community goal by, well, basically trouncing Aegis. Aegis didn't even reach the first community goal level. I must admit the levels and the response to those community goals were quite low, but that could have been because it's so far outside the bubble. It's 1,000 light years outside the bubble, and you had to do Guardian stuff, which that was very low volume.
Well, that's not that far, though, is it?
Well, it is to some people.
Light years as well.
It was difficult to get there as well because it's one of those ones where it was kind of like in between two permit locked areas.
Permit locks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was tricky to get to, and then also there's because you're picking up Guardian stuff, you're gonna have to go in your SLV, go and transfer, pick up two items. You can scoop in your ship, but I was finding that to be kind of hit and miss. But I'm getting out in your CV, pick up 2 items, turn around, come back, do that. It was a labor of love for me, at least. I only did it for a couple of hours. I was like, not doing that again.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the journey out there and the journey back that I had difficulty with. The actual getting hold of the Guardian stuff was actually quite fun, but yeah, we'll move on from that. But Salvation has put out a message as basically congratulating his followers or everybody that helped him win the CG, and keep an eye out for the next chapter, because apparently we've now just completed chapter 2 out of 6, which is ominous. Now, Grant, do you have access to the Store Alert song?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
Grant, can you sing the Store Alert song?
I don't even know. Well, I do actually know, but you know, I can't for the current second. Sing it. No, I'm not going to sing it. What I'll do is, what can we do? What can we do? I know. We'll do. I can sing. He's a lot of fun. I'm a lot of fun. He weighs half. Oh no! Hold on a minute. That's not good.
I think.
Does that help?
I think we'll thank Grant for his contribution and just discuss what's happening in the next newsletter. Well, basically, the Store Alert this week, we had Enforcer Dominator suits, which are available for your arcs, and also the Asp Explorer Snake Wrap skin. I have to be very careful saying that. So we would like to take some advert breaks at the moment, and then probably come back with our main discussion about Update 5. And have we gone?
This is what Grant says. You might like to take some advert breaks. You're not gonna.
You get the option. We'll have to see what happens.
Hold on a second. Let's see. What can I do? I can do this, and then I will do do this. Do you suffer from problems with incontinence? If you do, then our pee-pads are for you! Yes, Commander, your very own pee-pad while you're out there exploring in the universe. Then you can go whenever you feel the need. No need for a toilet pesking there back there and then having to wonder, how do they deal with the poop? No, you just go in the pad and discard it at your local station. Let them worry about the physics of disposing of sewage in space. That's not your problem, Commander. Hold on a second, let's go check in my ear. Is that long enough? Do you need a bit longer?
A chap from Frontier the other day, and I asked him about how the suits work. Are they like still suits in Dune that recycle your wee and your poo and your everything else into water so you can survive in the suit? You know, so you got nutrients and drink. And he wasn't sure about that, but he did say they had fans. Which will then cause my next question was, well, is the poo and then directed into the fan, into the suit?
Well,
So that's when you attack someone, it really does hit the fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm just confused there. Okay, you know, heat and thermals, I suppose, as a human being and an organism, you do require to have that ability to exchange gases. I'm not just farts, but you've got the steam, the heat, and to keep the body comfortable, to keep a pilot in peak fighting attention condition. But it's one thing that we know how it works in other games that have the traditional toilets. And I don't know, maybe we can put it to Frontier for next LaveCon. Frontier, if you're watching, is there any chance that we could get a proper spreadsheet, scientific fact-based presentation on how sewage is dealt with? One, with a Coriolis, that centrifugal action, surely that's going to get amplified by the more and more sewage that's
slosh
in the
around
pipes.
quite a bit, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be. So prying minds have today discovered that how you deal with sewage in space hopefully would be very similar to how you would deal with it underwater when we all submerge and in the year 3000. So that'll be quite a good presentation for next year. Was that long enough, Colin? I've stalled.
It was. Although I must admit, I'm beginning to think that basically there is one hole in a Coriolis, which everything, all the rubbish comes out, and basically as it spins, there's just this circle of.
Well, that's what the new panel.
No. There's got to be some kind of sanitation for liquid recycling. There has to be sanitation within a station. Why are we still talking about this?
Because it's interesting, because it's science. Because I was thinking about inside the suit, if it kind of sloshed around in layers in the suit, not only would it, you could use it for drinking purposes once it's been refined, it would also act as an insulator and also as cooling. So you have liquid cooled suits. So yeah, you see, it's got to happen. Got to happen. I've got
that means if someone could, if you get mugged, they would steal your suit water. They would literally take the. Oh, never mind.
Exactly. Yeah. And see, we can get down in the gutter even without Ben's contribution.
Yeah, he's been very quiet. It's a bit worrying, really. Okay, well, we'll head back to reality at the moment. The main discussion point is obviously going to be Update 5. The Update 5 and the development update, do you think that is, the main question we're asking is that enough to keep people happy at the moment? And, well, I must admit, I've seen some reviews, and obviously the forums is basically full of the same sewage that we've just been talking about, to be honest.
I'll recycled.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that. I'm going to bring Ben back in here and ask him the main question.
I'm expecting you to ask me the main question,
which was Update 5 and the development update. Was that enough to keep you playing?
Remembering this is a podcast, not a video thing. Honestly, probably not. It's certainly not going to bring me back to play more. I've not flounced off. I'm not going anywhere, and I'll still be playing it as much as I have been over the past year. But I don't think what we've gotten in Update 5, even the little percentage marks that we have next to our shields, is enough to make me think, oh my god, this is the best thing since sliced bread. It's improvements, it's stepping stones. As I said earlier, I was hoping for hope. We haven't received that hope. I think we now have to basically be resigned to see what we're going to get in the whatever you want to call the console patch. Maybe after they get patched in, after all their bugs get fixed, maybe then we'll see what's down the road, and then I'll see how I feel.
Right. I mean, so none of the exploration mechanics, none of the running around, doing the missions around the bases, none of those appeal to you whatsoever.
I've already been enjoying running around the bases by myself, and we should have been able to pull in commanders to play with us from the beginning. That was always touted as a feature, and frankly, that should have been in. It was meant to be a feature like 6 weeks ago, and we're getting it now. Yay, we're getting it now, but we should have had it ages ago. So, yeah.
So, are you basically saying that because that particular feature is 6 weeks late, that's it?
No, of course not. But it's not an excuse to keep playing either.
Ben, what would give you hope?
What would give me hope? I would say a double down from Frontier on this is actually a game we want to long-term develop. We want to maintain long-term development. And that has to be concrete plans they've got, not an abstract, no, we've not stopped developing Elite Dangerous Honest Gov. It has to be, we have a vague idea that we will be working on flyable dredges. Or, we've got 5 or 6 different SRVs in the pipeline. These are things we're thinking about. I've written off the whole idea of having proper zero-G maneuverability. I think it's a shame. I think it's a missed opportunity. But I think, at least for the time being, that ain't going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Do you not think, though, from previous experience and previous experience of Odyssey, of just Elite in general,
of Horizons and everything,
if they say this is what we have planned, and I am literally just playing devil's advocate here, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with this, but if they come out and they say we've got X, Y, and Z plan, these are the things that we are focusing on, if they then fail to deliver on those things, like essentially there are like for example the Kickstarter videos, things like that they haven't fully delivered on, and lots of people are citing that as being this is the end game for Odyssey. If they can't deliver some of the things that they're planning, will it not just feel more like more empty promises from Frontier, rather than it's hope that you're hoping for?
I'm not believing anything that comes from Frontier until we see it. So,
right. So then my question to you then is, what is the point in them showing you what they're going to do? Sorry to be
you're right, and I'm in many respects maybe there isn't any point. I don't want to sound defeatist there, but I've personally transitioned from going from a place where I believe pretty much anything that Frontier say they're going to do, to a sad position that I trust them almost as much as I trust RSI,
Right.
and we're going to get it when we get it, if we get it.
So with that in mind, is it not more beneficial to just wait and see what they do bring out? And I'm not saying that this is the right this is the right thing to do. I'm just saying from a point of view of someone who also has a lot of hope, also then saying those are going to be empty promises. What's the point in them bringing that information out rather than giving you tangible information about what they are currently working on?
Because I want to believe.
I know.
I can't justify it any better than that. I want Arf to promise me the world, and I go, yes, Arf, I love you. This is everything we want.
Yes, I will buy all of the arcs for that exact thing.
I want that. I really want that.
I think one of the issues that I think people have is that if they are holding stuff back, because they might be holding stuff back for the console release, such as, I don't know, the Thargoids on foot, or the new SRV or new SRVs or that kind of thing. I think now is not really the time to hold back on that kind of content. Just mention something like that. We've got that in the pipeline. Just wait and see. That would probably be enough, wouldn't it, Ben?
You just stopped me having a drink there. Would that be? Yeah, I mean, it would probably be, yes, we are working on Thargoid FPS combat. We are working on a speeder bike for you to fly around in Elite Dangerous in. If they go off and say that to me, that would make me a very, very happy person.
But then when they turn around in 3 weeks and go, we can't do, or like 3 months and go, I know we promised this, but we can't do that. We're going to be sat here having this exact same conversation. and you going, I just want to hope, Si. I really want to hope.
I know. Well, in that case, then they need to, going back to what Shan was saying earlier, they go off and promise a developer on a stream and they give us a forum post. Maybe they need to deliver.
What I was implying was that there might be hidden content that's already in that they're going to activate when the consoles come along. And I think at this point, maybe it might not be an idea to hold it back.
I agree with you.
Because
not necessarily like the whole introduce the content so that Odyssey players get it before console players and anything else, but show us some gameplay footage of that. Maybe this is actual sort of in the works gameplay footage of something that is actually happening in an engine that you can look forward to. That for me would be a lot better than, we're planning a speeder bike.
Yeah, very much.
This is what I was hoping from developer streams. I want to see behind the scenes. I want to see exactly what is on K or Adam's not working on it. Who's the designer working on it? I want to see what's on Pierce's desktop. Let me see Pierce's to-do list. That would make me delighted.
Do you remember back at Frexpo? They showed us renderings, in-game models with textures and stuff of the Guardian weapons, of some of the stuff coming out. And I think even if they haven't got the mechanics down, just show us an in-game rendering of a Thargoid, a new SRV, something that hasn't been nicked from the game files and surreptitiously saying this is coming. It may not happen for 6 months, but you knew when they showed that content at Frontier Expo, you knew at some point it was going to be in, because they showed images of it, they talked about it, and then you started speculating, what is that? Is that a beam? Is that a Guardian beam laser? Is that what is that? And that then drove that kind of expectation and hope back again, because you had something that could be seen. At the moment, we've seen supposed images of new SRVs, Thargoids, etc., but we don't know if they are officially Frontier sanctioned stuff or whether it's something just lifted from somewhere.
How about in the newsletter, instead of skins and things like that, they introduced, say, an extreme close-up of a Thargoid's eye, and just had little teasers.
Well, yeah,
of
that
the
goes
content.
back to the peak of the week thing that they used to have.
Mhm.
My goodness, we
Back in
managed
the
to get
original.
a show and a half out of every peak of the week, didn't we?
But that'd be great fun.
But it comes back to what I was saying at the start about reading the room. And in a normal situation, I think Sai is correct. Is that you want to keep your powder dry. You don't want to raise the expectations. You don't want to do too much hype. You need to keep something back. But I think the mood has shifted to the point, as Ben was saying, people need to see something more tangible than "don't worry, we're still working on it." It's just reading the room.
But if they don't return, they give us a hint of something, and then they don't meet that promise, or they don't satisfy that particular.
But then, how is that worse than now? How is that worse than now?
Because it's something else for some guy.
But there'll always be something else.
So why bother? Why bother having them do that? Why
bother release anything? Why not just not do anything and just say, well, you get what you get when you're given it.
Historically, Frontier have been really, really the victims of creating hype super prematurely, and people get so excited about stuff that's coming, and then you hear lots of people, lots of other content creators, and lots of creators. We hear it all the time. Frontier constantly fail to deliver on these promises. So for them to then go around and say, for them to start giving you more promises, it's more ammunition for us to continue saying, "Oh, there's something else that Frontier haven't."
Define. Give me an example of a Frontier promise, because they don't give dates with anything, and they have said
they promised us walking around our ships in the Kickstarter. Everyone has said this. They've promised us walking around our ships. And now everyone's like, "Oh, well, there's not going to be walking around the ships." No, screw this. I'm out.
That's Frontier communications issue, isn't it? If they had someone say, "Actually, we know it was a Kickstarter promise. We know this and this and this, but for these reasons, it ain't going to happen."
That's
they've
tried an awful kerfuffle.
They've tried to explain about the not walking around in ships. I mean, 3 years ago, we didn't even have walking around on planets, and everything was just speculating on basically what this next big update or the new era was supposed to be. So the main issue is that what Frontier have done is they have gone and done an analysis on what they can get the most gameplay from for the least amount of effort, and they have decided, for better or worse, that the best thing is on foot, planetary only gameplay. Anything else on that is probably going to be another update, and I think people need the reassurance that there will be another update. I mean, one of the problems, as Grant just pointed this out in one of the chat rooms, they haven't helped themselves by, in the past, saying that they were going to do something and not done it, say, offline. That was one of the ones that really stuck in a lot of people's claw.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to go and answer the question to get some sort of back on track, did it bring enough to get me playing? I mean, I will confess, and I'm in the Shang confession box at the moment, is I did spend a couple of weekends doing conflict zones in Odyssey, because I wanted to get my head around the mechanics of the game, because my problems currently with Odyssey aren't the performance issues, because I know they're fixable. It's not necessarily the planets, because it's just how they've done it. For me, it's some of the design decisions that are really fundamental. I mean, I'll give you, for some people, it's completely trivial, but for me, it's a huge elephant in the room. And that is the additional so-called elite ranks. Because for me, it is a huge issue. I mean, I won't go into too much detail, but what that has done is because they haven't retrospectively done it. So it doesn't matter how many billions of credits you've earned, you have to earn another billion credits to get Elite 1, Elite 2, and whatever. Because they haven't done it retrospectively, it kind of means I don't want to see how I view things. I don't want to see my display panel with the abomination that is Elite 1, 2, 3. I don't want my screen. I don't want anything to do with it. So because of that, it has discouraged me not to earn another credit or shoot another ship or explore another star just in case I flip over the mark. And it is just how I feel. So I'm not saying you're writing differently or anything like that. It's just what it's made me feel. And there are other parts as well in the way the game is designed where I again, my view is they've taken the decision or the view that repetition of the same thing again and again and again is content. And for my mind, it's just not. So what are they going to do? I don't know. I'll see. I mean, it's probably just my state of mind thing, because I did enjoy the conflict zones, even though the way to beat them was to go around a huge zerg. So I did enjoy it, and it's not I'm dissing on everything they've done. It's just where my mind is at the moment.
I knew you were going to say the blooming elite ranks. I mean, I probably would have agreed with you if they'd actually renamed them. But as far as it being elite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm absolutely fine with that because the top rank is still elite.
Colin?
What
does the word mean? The word elite means the most.
Well, you see, this is the thing. This is the thing where I have a difficulty with this, is because I've been used to some of the martial arts stuff. As far as I'm concerned, basically there is the black belt, and you know that I'm going to say this. As far as most people are happy that they see someone who is a black belt and they think, right, that's fine. That's an impressive achievement. However, when you get to that level, there are a lot more black belt levels to get through. But to your average punter, you're still a black belt, regardless whether you're a first dan or a 10th dan. 10th dan, geez. I don't think there are any 10th dans at the moment.
Use the term elite.
Yeah, but you still are elite to everybody else.
But you're then not elite to the people inside the Pilots Federation. The dance. Anyway, I'm not going down the rat hole, but this is just how I feel about it.
You see, and I don't understand why this is the hill that you want to die on. I just don't understand why this is the hill.
It's just my mindset.
Anyway, moving on.
Well, it's a big thing. As I said, it's a big thing to
moving on.
What have they got to do? Yeah, go on, Ben.
No, moving on. I'm allowing Colin.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say something, Ben.
Right,
I'm allowing Colin to move on.
Right. Okay, we will move on then. Psychic, what about you? Is update 5 got you enough to keep you playing? Really?
It is. Of course, I'm going to keep playing. That's the stupidest question I've ever heard, Colin. Of course, I'm going to keep playing Elite Dangerous. I bloody love this game. Oh my god, it's for me. It's improved. It's absolutely improved. I'm not fussed about walking around a ship. Especially, I really like flying in large ships. So I'm going to spend 20 minutes getting lost in a Corvette trying to find the entrance. Yes, I'd enjoy an animation where I'm walking to the entrance of my ship and then it fade to black. That'd be great. Cheers, FDev. If you could work on that, that would be lovely. But grand scheme of things, am I still enjoying the game while I'm playing the game? 95% of the time, I absolutely am. Those 5% of the time when I'm not, I'll go and play something else. I'll take some time out. I'll go and make myself a cup of tea, or I'll take a quick break. Or there's lots of different things. No, Frank, I haven't been playing since the beta, but my opinion isn't changed because of how long I've been playing. I've been playing since 2016. So while I haven't been playing since the beta, I've got thousands of hours in this game, and that doesn't make my opinion any less valid. But yeah, I'm not going to stop playing the game.
Who's Frank? And I feel vaguely sorry for him now.
Sorry. I see a lot of people. I've seen people on Twitter nullify other people's opinions who have been playing for less time, and I don't think we should, because everyone should be is allowed to express their opinion in the same way. And I've just seen a lot of people do that. So yeah, it gets me, it grips me, me stuff when things like that get said.
Yeah, and well, unsurprisingly, I mean, I have been playing since beta. I've been playing since alpha, so there. And I must admit that now that the FPS issues have been resolved for me, I'm probably finding I'm playing it more. I was already enjoying the exploration side of things beforehand, which was always, which I always found it's sort of enjoyable in a old man fishing type way, as I keep on saying. But now that the actual the combat zones have opened up to me, and I will still be playing. I do wish that they do some more a couple of extra tweaks that they've missed out on, but it's good enough. And even when I'm exploring this issue with the planetary tech that a lot of people are complaining about, it's not bothering me, because once I get down to the planet level, there is some absolutely stunning vistas that this engine's created, and that is a great motivator to keep on going. And I think the only problem I do have is that my FPS improvement, my performance hasn't improved enough to actually play in VR in Odyssey, and I don't think that is going to be fixed until at least the consoles come out. But apart from that, I'm okay with it on flat screen.
Didn't they mention something in the update that the future features and big updates are going to be after the console release?
No, you see, this is one thing that I have begun to think of, is that they're going to, pardon the expression here, that Odyssey is going to be basically what I call a one pump jump DLC. That's it. Once it's all released out on the consoles, they'll say, right, no, that's Odyssey done, and we're going to start work on. If they do carry on working, they'll work on something else, because they've said they're not doing seasons anymore. They're doing updates. What I'm concerned about is that it will go back to how it was after the Beyond update, which will be really small updates once every 6 months. And I'm hoping that we get more than that.
Just want to dive in with what you're saying about VR, because I think update 5 went off and removed the workaround that people had for basically placing the debug cam on top of your head.
Did it?
Yep. Malik VR was going on about that the other day. Again, this is something obviously it's something I can't experience. I can't give any confirmation of, but that was something Malik VR was saying. But there is potentially good news with that as well. If they've taken the effort of removing that as a feature, in inverted commas, that can only be for a reason. And maybe that reason is because they're actually working on it for reals. So I'm going for a silver, because I'm looking at a silver lining there.
What was that, Shan?
I'm just saying, why remove it and have nothing until the proper thing comes along? Why not just leave it in place and then replace it with a proper thing?
Because maybe they're having to experiment with different things, trying to get whatever they need right. Why are they playing in that area of code? We've no idea. I mean, I can't see them removing it.
They
just
wouldn't
for
do
the
that
sake
on a
of
live system, would they?
Well, I can't see them removing it just for the sake of being insert rude word here.
I know, we'll really cheese Ben off. We'll just remove it.
Well, it's not going to cheese me off, but might cheese Malik off and the other people who play all the time in VR.
No, I don't know. Maybe the actual that people using it was causing other engine issues or something like that. We don't know.
Oh,
I'm being
possible.
I'm looking for silver lining as why they did it, but maybe it was causing other issues that removing it fixed.
So we have a tinfoil hat idea of why they removed it, because they showed that it could be done and they don't want that. Quite possibly.
Yes, heaven forbid, players, you're not allowed fun unless we say so.
Yeah,
It wasn't
unofficial fun.
It wasn't fun. You could probably do exploration in it, but you couldn't do any of the FPS stuff in it because it wasn't. They hadn't aligned things up properly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be nice to have the option, I suppose, but
but why play around in that area unless it's something you're thinking about? So we can cross our fingers here, can't we?
Yeah, well, then you're getting back to this hope thing that you've not got anymore.
I want hope. I want hope. Damn it.
Right. Well, I think we've kind of exhausted that one, to be honest.
I hadn't finished yet. Sorry, Colin. We got hung up on the elite things.
I thought you had given up.
No, I haven't given up. As I said, I'm not. I'm not. I didn't grind me down that easily. I don't know. What do I want to see them happen for that? I want to see a more complex level of FPS gameplay. I think, because having done conflict zones, I mean, for example, there's no crowd control or stun. I don't mean like stun phases. I mean like flashbangs, disorientate. That sort of being able to interrupt another action. It does make every single part of combat a DPS race. So if they're doing balancing stuff, yeah, I think if they had a more in-depth way of using first-person shooter combat, I think I'll be definitely into that because I'm into the complex systems, not just DPS races. But anyway.
Right. Well, we're going to bring that one to a close, I think. So. The community corner this week. Well, obviously we've had the Buckybullers are doing a LaveCon run at the moment. Psyche, you did that this morning.
No, I didn't. I tried to do it.
Okay, you attempted it this morning.
I got explodificated. You'll definitely see it on Twitter. There's lots of tweets about the explosions, and Epiphas was sat in the bar with the explosions happening around him. So at least we put on a show. No, I'm going to give it another go in the week.
Yeah. You say something about updates.
Yeah, like with regard to the game being updated, what you were saying, previously, I feel like my I'm going to say on a lore side when we're looking at stuff that's currently happening in game, and we're at part 2 of a 6-story arc with salvation and all of that nonsense. That to me is leading towards lots of other implementations and things that are going to happen in game. I feel like there's going to be more power play that might possibly happen going forward. More power play equipment in the same ilk of like on foot power play stuff like prismatics and things like that, but the Odyssey equivalent to those kind of things. I feel like there is those kind of bits that they would potentially be able to implement as part of the ongoing story and that sort of progression, especially when we go back to 4 Federation stations wanting to be separate or wanting to go independent. Could they be now looking to form maybe more other different superpowers? And that's where we would get our new power play factions and our new people to get our different guns and stuff, or different guns with special power play modifications. I don't know. I'm just excited about being able to live out my Starship for fantasy and shoot an alien in the face at some point. I think that would be nice. But anyway, about Buckyball, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I recommend that you go and check it out. It's a good time. Highly recommend.
Yeah. Right. I think at this point, shall we open up the Zoom chat to see whether or not anybody would like to have a say about Update 5?
Grant, have you got your finger on the beeper?
Oh man, you wanted a beeper as well? God. Jeez.
So, generally, if you want to have a chat, just put a little dot in the chat window and we'll bring you in. We do have Grant.
Bring yourself in.
Yeah, I just want to say, I have been sat back from Elite for 2 years, not for any particular issue with the game at all. Real life changes and all those kind of things where you don't have the same time and things, the group games that we used to play, so I still would come back in for the odd thing when it was like the 80 days around the verse and stuff where I want to be part of that collective because the multiplayer aspect was more of a draw than just doing the game. But prior to that, core mining was a draw for a while to play on my own, and then there was Deep Space Expansion now. So I haven't, and I did the beta for Odyssey, and I haven't logged in at all since. Not for, again, it's not for any negative reason. Odyssey's not a particular FPS stuff. It's not of particular interest to me, although I am quite liking when I watch Psychic streaming and seeing all the group play and how it looks like it could be a bit of a giggle. So again, the multiplayer aspect dragging me back in. However, what I'll say is for yesterday's photo routine, I had to update Odyssey and I had to log in and get my ship to Lave. Obviously, I wanted to bring the Cowskin Type 9 to Lave and get it all docked up and ready, and then we all met in the bar and I thought, well, what was the point of that? But when I logged in and thought I'll get to Lave, I did it before LaveCon weekend because I figured they'd probably be set up to be done, and it puts you through the introductory mission where you have to break into the plant and steal the power core and all that kind of stuff. That was genuinely from an experience for me of not having seen that in the sort of alpha part that I'd been involved in at all. I thought that was bloody well put together, and okay, it had voice acting and stuff like that to kind of make it feel atmospheric, but if they can maintain that kind of feel in those missions, that would be great. And I know that the obviously issue is it's a game, and therefore doing that same kind of mission 74 times in a row is going to get old soon, but I was genuinely, and I just wanted to put a bit of positivity out there from somebody who's not been engaged with the game in that level for a long time. It genuinely, that little spark of movie-esque feel and the sort of emptiness of the outpost, it really gave me a wee bit of excitement back in the game. And then, of course, I met Ben on the station and realised, oh yeah, I don't play it because Ben's here.
I was just about to ask,
that's just because I was kneeling down in front of you, isn't it, Grant?
Yeah.
Oh no. Grant, is it actually good enough to entice you back then?
No, because I'm not absent from a distinct. I mean, Lava Planets, and again, so I can tell you that just I'll be as blatantly honest as I can be with myself. It's my favourite space game, and if I ever feel the need to go and do deep space exploration or going and looking at stunning distant space representations, planets, asteroid fields, then it is the game that I would go to. If I want to get a screenshot for something that I'm working with that I really want that kind of nice backdrop, it's the game I'm going to go to. And I just love that kind of togetherness feel of it. I would probably, as I say, I'm quite keen on getting in, trying some group for a first-person shooter on the bases to see how that feels. Like doing the old base raids that we used to do in Hutton with the ships and the SRVs going in, and now ships, SRVs, and people on foot could be quite spectacular to experience. But I don't see myself engaging with the sort of core mechanics and the repetition and the grind anymore than I would to achieve an objective. And the problem is I don't have any personal goals to achieve in the game, so there's not that burning pool. That's what's missing. It's not that I'm not interested in. I've got elite. I'm not interested in getting elite in combat either, particularly. But it'd be a nice thing to do. But it's not a pool for me. I'm getting the enjoyment and the sort of excitement from other games at the moment and different experiences. So I don't really have that an brilliant amount of unlimited amount of time that I used to, where I could spend a lot of time just enjoying the slowness of playing Elite, which is actually a bit of a pull factor for it. Is something quite nice to chill out when you're doing.
Right. Thanks for that. We'll bring in Commander Flossie, otherwise Helen.
Hi.
Hiya, Helen. How are you?
All right, fine, thanks. I don't know. I just feel that all this negativity towards the developers and etc. It's just, it must be awful for them to actually read everything on the forums, all these negative comments, and hear things where people are having a go at them. I actually love the game. I've always loved it from the alpha days, and each expansion just brings more exciting things, and I've no issue with it at all. And I do feel sorry for Frontier. They really work hard, and yet they get all this flack. And I'd just like to say I think they do a great job.
Well, Commander Flossie has spoken. There you go. Thanks, Helen. Norm Mack, Commander, what would you like to say?
All I was going to say was that I always remember you mentioned that because of COVID and everything else, they were only doing certain parts we were going to be shown. And that was basically what they've done so far because of COVID and because of everything else going on and people work from home. So it has to be given time to basically get things sorted out and all that sort of thing. But also, if they start releasing stuff or showing more features within the game, that'll then leave anyone outside, it's in the consoles, etc., behind. So there's no point new stuff coming out rather than just basically, and then the consoles going, I've missed that, because they're already missing quite a lot for actually being able to go on planets, etc. So there's no point bringing any more stuff out. As for, as Helen was saying, negative Frontier, they are working on it, and I still believe that they will actually come through with everything that they're doing. It's just due to restrictions and everything else that's been going on. It's basically put that to it's made that bit harder actually to put in place. So yeah, no, I still say that give Frontier some time. And that's basically it.
Okay, thanks for that, Norm. We'll go to King of Retro, Stephen Usher, next.
Yeah, well, basically, I feel that they really have released this too early. However, I also think that some of the design decisions show that the current team, which I have a feeling was brought in by the new director for the game director who came from Borderlands and the other FPS. I think he brought a whole load of FPS people in, and they have very little idea about the rest of the spaceship elite. And I think that shows a lot in some of the details, such as where you got 0G stations. There's no even decoration changes to reflect it being 0G.
We've got litter lying on the floor in 0G stations.
And plants, and you've got nice tumblers and drinks on the tables. Even if they just change the drinks tumblers to being squeezy bottles.
I have a solution for the drinks tumblers. They're all drinking iron brew, and it's magnetic.
But it's those little that sort of detail, and also the multiplicity of user interfaces. Each individual part seems to have its own balkanized user interface that they didn't seem to talk to each other, and that's a managerial problem. It's not the developers themselves; it's a managerial problem, and yeah, I feel that's the problem that Frontier have got at the moment. it's a managerial one rather than anything else. Also, thinking outside the box. Why can't you have things where pick things up, throw them? That would help with the first person shooter stuff, but it also help with other immersion gameplay, being able to sit down in the pub even, that sort of thing. It's the little things that, yes, it does need developer time, but if you thought about it from the beginning in a holistic manner, it would have been less developer time. It's a lost opportunity, and that's what's so galling. It's so close. The vistas are brilliant. Yeah, and we're also the release is actually beta. I think everyone agrees with that. That's really well. It's a disappointing missed opportunity. That's it. What we have, what are some of the things in there? Brilliant. And I can see that there's lots of technical things that are so nearly there. I'm not bothered by the FPS, the frames per second being low. That's fixable. Some of the rendering stuff, it's bugs, it's fixable. As Shannon was saying, it's the design decisions that I'm worried about, and what is obviously a managerial problem within the project. And that's all I want to say, really.
Okay. We'll move to Steve Giller.
Hi there. I'd like to echo Floss's sentiments on not the fact that there are negative things to say, but the level of attack, not specifically here, but for the developers, is way excessive. And the other thing is, the more you post things like that, the more time they've got to spend answering your questions rather than just fixing it. So reporting the problems rather than ranting about them is far more productive. I mean, I'm not going to deny there's things wrong with the game. I do agree it's effectively a beta. But again, the amount of vitriol that came out with any slight delay has probably pushed them into that decision as well. So a lot of this is of our own making as a community. But fundamentally, what they've done is they've given us FPS, and we've suddenly expected it to be like the very best COD game straight away, which isn't what it's designed to be, and isn't mature enough for that. And for me, I wasn't in any way attracted by going on foot. It didn't bother me at all. But having jumped into the beta just because we do, and then being able to interact with people on foot, the combat zones, the mission runs, running into bases with people, it's been so much fun. And for all its flaws, it's a massive improvement and a great addition to the game. And I think we need, as a community, to focus on helping them fix it and not ranting about the things that annoy us. Just be assistive rather than negative about it, frankly.
Okay, thanks for that. I'll bring in Astro now. Astro Phoenix.
Yeah, guys. So I myself have not been playing Elite for too many years. So have I got a bad echo?
No, you sound fine to us. No. Keep on going.
Sorry, I'm on Discord with one of the guys as well, so I'll mute that. So yeah, I'm quite a new player in relative to most people. In the fact, I've only been actually playing a couple of years. I've only been playing since Horizons has come out. So compared to a lot of you players, a baby in the world of Elite. Odyssey, having only played a small amount of it, but having looked at it as well, it looks brilliant. The downside is it shouldn't have been released as it is. It just seems really, really unpolished. As you do the tutorial, as Grant was saying earlier, the tutorial is brilliant, and it really feels really complete, and it feels like a really good experience, and it does invigorate you to play more. It just doesn't have any relation to the rest of the world of Elite. It feels like it's its own game. It feels like it's not connected to what exists already. And then in relation to what people are saying about, obviously, it takes a lot of development time. we all love the fact that that Frontier, put the time and effort into Odyssey, and to go from what we have with Elite to have something like Odyssey in the game is a massive amount of development and a lot of effort, and we all love Frontier for at least attempting to do it. It would just be nice if they listened more and actually implemented even small changes that we were asking for. It seems as though they're just completely disregarding what most people are actually asking for. They made lots of comments about what might happen and then turn around and say that's not going to be happening for years. But they gave the they gave the idea that it would be coming up sooner than it did. I don't think it was ready to come out as it did. But yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody has agreed with that one. It was certainly not ready when it came out. Right. Oh, Alan.
Got me.
Yep.
As hopefully the camera will flick on in just a second. The light's gone on, and then hopefully there we go. There we are. I think there's just a point to be made here about picking up on what Flossie said and what some of you guys were actually saying when you were going through the stuff is that spare a thought for the human beings, and I think you've touched on that, and it's hard. Being in a games company, when a games company makes a decision that a player base then starts to not like and starts to give difficult feedback on and criticism on, is quite hard, particularly as often the people who are facing some of that, it is their job, but they don't necessarily have the decision-making power to be able to affect any change. And I've seen that. I've seen that from the inside. I've been many years ago, not in the computer games industry, but in another industry. I've been set out as the stalking horse to take the flak, and that was, and there are people who I will occasionally, meet in life 20 or 30 years later, and I will go, yeah, you gave me crap, and you had no idea you were giving me crap. You were basically not happy with this, not happy with that, and of course, all I was there to do is to listen to you and report what you had back. But you gave me personal crap. You basically ad hominem to make my life very stressful, and I lost sleep over the fact that I couldn't respond to you in a way that didn't make the situation worse. And that's hard, incredibly hard, and it's stressful for people to deal with. And I think that that's important for people to get around. And I think we're in a situation where maybe there's a consensus that there's things that need to be worked on, and if there is consensus that things need to be worked on, then there also needs to be space to allow that to happen. And actually, it would probably be good if the community kind of got together around the idea of saying, not offering ultimatums, that's the wrong way of thinking about it in any way, shape or form, but got around the idea of saying, okay, right, we've been heard, we think we've been heard now we're going to give you time to work on things, and then we'll ask for a report back or something like that, because I think actually a lot of the communication of sort of saying judge us by our actions and and it's not quite happening the right way, because I don't think anybody really knows how they're supposed to manage this at the moment. Certainly that seems to be the impression I get.
Well, thanks for that, Alan. We'll bring in Shouty, shall we? Mr. Shouty Man. Who's incredibly quiet. There we go.
Yeah, it doesn't really help that I'm watching on the Twitch channel, so I'm a little bit behind. But what I was going to say is, when it comes to Elite, my thing has always been making content for the game. So, big things like delivering mugs to every station, going around the universe, and all the various little bits that come in between that, So I always look at what can I do with the tool that I've been given. And when I look at Odyssey and my creative juices start flowing, I think there is so much we can do with that as it is, that makes the update worthwhile in the first place. Just for an example, you could have a mouse and race across a planet, just stupid little things like that. There's also, when it comes down to all the bugs and the things and everything with Elite, and I've been part of Elite since the alpha, I've seen how bugs have really affected the gameplay and promises that they've made over the time. But they've always eventually sorted that problem out, and it might take a lot longer than you want it to. The functionality might be, the game is functional, but not functional in the way you want it to be. But I always feel that down the line, that problem gets solved out. Just going back to Alpha, everyone remembers the spinning Sidewinder of Doom, where we just couldn't get into the game if you were part of that. Or you remember the first Gamma bit where there was no instancing in wings, or you tried to wing up. It's all a process, and I think we just need to give them time to sort it out. I think Alan's quite right. Giving them all this vitriol is bad for the game in a way, because at some point there's only so much salt you can throw into a machine before the machine stops working. And that's all I have to say on that, really.
Okay, thanks for that, Simon. Raven.
Hi there, guys. Hopefully you can hear me all right.
Absolutely fine. Go on.
Fantastic. Just a very quick one, really. A lot of ways to echo some of the sentiments that Alan and Co are just saying there. That, as far as the game that I played for a couple of years and the experience I've had, the content that we've seen put out, the audio acting, the graphics side of things we're seeing, the actual developers, the work that they're turning out has been nothing less than breathtaking, across the board. And I do think that any vitriol or any negativity that's been directed towards them is deeply unfair. As Alan says, it all falls on the project managers and the people who are managing where they're directing that dev time into the game. Certainly, there are some frustrations where you have quality of life issues that have been hanging around for years and years that are just not being given the dev time to be fixed or to be resolved or to be acknowledged and say, well, actually, no, we decided, in our game, we're not going to do it that way. So there does, I think, need to be a better channeling of that feedback. And I'm thinking back to, it was 2017, we had the Frontier Expo, when you did have a direct access to Frontier on their own terms. You could speak to the right people, you could speak to the right situation, you had that opportunity into the event. And I wonder if a lot of this vitriol of sort of the keyboard warriors who are just out to make a noise and who are not, what should we say, core parts of the community, would be dissuaded from, that sort of engagement if there was more appropriate ways to officially get through and officially sort of have that one-to-one with the people who need to hear these things, because the developers can only do what they're allowed to do, and everything we see them turn out is fantastic. I hope somebody there's watching and passes along the sentiment from everybody who's really happy with the way that the work they turn out.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Raven. And we'll end tonight with Commander Ventura.
No, it was actually something, a great comment on what Shan was talking about somebody coming up to actually say, oh, this is all my fault. That'll never happen. First of all, because if anyone does admit that, then they'd end up getting a lot of people suing that person. And I don't see that ever happening. And as a company, they would actually, who represents the company is the games and everything else. They basically, the company are claiming responsibility for any problems that people are having, because that's what they're doing. They're working on, and it won't go any further than that. It was great that David actually put some stuff in the forums and basically said, apologise for all the problems that everyone's having, and that's it. As Colin was talking about earlier, I had issues with WoW after the patch they put out on Wednesday, and I've spent 2 hours talking to Blizzard, and a support guy who said, "Oh, apologies for the problems you're having," and he was working really hard trying to get it sorted out for us. But I've ended up at the end of the day, my LaveCon rebuilding my daughter's machine, and it's part of the course of anything to do with computers is that anything can go wrong with them. They're so can be, things can be, not work or something like that, but that's it. And it's just having to accept that and say, well, okay, they're going to sort it out. They've sorted out a whole the problems that were happening with Horizons. That's why fleet carriers were delayed as well. And it was basically, that's it. So they are working on the issues. It's just having to give them time to work on it under the current conditions, as I said earlier. Anyway, thank you for that.
Oh, cheers, Norman. Shan, did you want to reply to that?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting conversation from chats, actually. So yeah, it's quite a lot of food for thought, I think, that people's brought up. So that's really good. A couple of things I just want to sort of pick up on. I completely concur with what John was saying. I think we mentioned it earlier. Is I really feel sorry for the developers and stuff like that. They put their heart and their soul and everything into, and long hours into, trying to bring us the best expansion they can possibly come up with. And you do sympathize with them when it comes back like that. And some of the vitriol that's been directed personally against them, it's just out of order. You just don't do it. It's not constructive, etc. Just on the responsibility bit about Ventura, I didn't actually stand up and say this is all my fault, because there's a difference between admitting blame and taking responsibility for fixing it. Personally, things go. Me personally, I accept things going wrong. What is telling is how they're dealt with after they've gone wrong. And are you learning the lessons from previous failures? So, yeah, I just want to sort of really say that it's a difficult time for everyone, I think. And I'm on holiday for another week, so I'm not around. So just take it, if you're struggling, take a step back and come back to it. Because as I said, the game will be there. Will will be here, annoying you on Tuesday night. So yeah, just take a chill out, give it some time, and see what happens, I guess.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that. So hopefully that brings us to the end of this discussion for the for Update 5. And to be honest, it does bring us really to the end of this episode. So I'm feeding back for some reason there. So I'll just give out our usual shout outs, unless anybody has any other business they'd like to highlight. Ben, Psychic? No,
just like it's game. Hi, it's still a game, and it'll still be there if you take a little break. It absolutely will. Don't think that this is the be all and end all of everything. Yes, Elite is really special, but it will still be special when you get back.
And also, I think 2 things from me. One, are we going to have a show on Tuesday? I think the answer is no.
No.
So Tuesday we're going to be recovering from today. So don't expect a show on Tuesday. And secondly, as Psychic just said, this is still a game. We all still love it. Even if we are negative about it, it's a negativity that's coming out of wanting to be constructive and out of passion and out of love for the game.
It is testament to how much we adore Elite, is how passionate we all are about it. Absolutely, 100%. And while we will have full raging disagreements sometimes, we still have a proper love for this game, and we wouldn't have these disagreements if we weren't as passionate as we are.
Indeed. Even Shan.
Yes. Yes, we weren't able to get the negativity meter out today.
There's my opinion, which is no. I enjoy when people push back and say shout on this one. It's kind of why I am like I am, because I want people to push back and say I think that's not quite right, or challenge me in my preconceptions in a grown up and reasoned fashion. And I enjoy that. I enjoy that much. People are saying, yeah.
Right. Well, I'd just like to say thanks to everybody who's actually turned up. Great thanks, of course, to Grant, Psycho Cow, Simoof, and Alan and Karen for actually organising and having to reorganise a virtual LaveCon at short notice. It's always fun to do these. It's just, I'm hoping that next year, fingers crossed, we'll be able to all talk to each other physically again.
Oh yeah, beers at the Sedgebrook this time next year.
Definitely, let's hope so. So we're going to end the show with the usual shout outs. So of course we'll give a shout out to our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio. It broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30 British Summertime. You can tune in at twitch.tv Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commanders that like a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We'll give shout outs to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts. So hi to Loose Screws, Elite Week, Flight Assist, Elite Cast for the Spanish speakers, the Canon Podcast, the Fatherhood Postcards, Squeaking Fuel, System Chat, and of course the Guard Frequency, who do other space sims as well, and Alagrab AM. For those that want a sci-fi and fantasy book literary discussion, you can subscribe to the Data Slate podcast, which is created by Station Commander Alan Stroud. And following this, we have the latest Galnet News Digest as provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. So I'll just like to say thank you to everybody who's chipped into this game from both the Zoom chat and on Twitch. And also special thanks go to Commander Tokuso, who created the music for the introduction of the show. So that is it for this special episode of Lave Radio from LaveCon. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com, hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio, tweet us at laveradio, or you can join the Discord server by going discord.io/laveradio. You can even go to the TeamSpeak server, which is teamspeak.laveradio.com. But do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded normally live on a Tuesday at 8:30 British Summertime and streamed out at laveradio.com.live. So thanks to Shan from his car, thanks to Ben Moss Woodward, thanks to Psychit, and special thanks goes to today's tech specialist, that's Commander Psycho Cow, even though he couldn't find the right music. So until next time, Commander, fly safe. But if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
By a vending machine technician, it's Lave Radio.
Attention. Would you like to reorder? Rate your rate. Would you like to do so?
Space can be lonely.
News Digest, 4th of July, 3307.
With LaveCon once again pivoted successfully to an online Hollow Me event, Galnet News Digest is proud this month to enter its 6th year of reading the galactic news so you don't have to.
And in this week's news, Hudson in trouble as Commander's back breakaway faction.
Salvation says thank you for all the relics.
dredging up the past.
Save our bark mounds.
It could so easily have been Jupiter Rochester's corporatist movement that caused schism in the Federation. But following the comprehensive defeat of the Jupiter Division, first by the Federal Navy, then by the Core Dynamics Corporation, and with Jupiter Rochester locked away without trial in the darkest dungeon the Federation could find, it fell to President Hudson himself and to Vice President Archer to set the ball rolling for the secessionists and for what has the potential to be a significant diminution in the real estate held by the Federation.
The Domestic Counter-Terrorism Act and the Proactive Detection Bureau that it established have proved so unpopular that whole factions are on the verge of declaring their independence, leaving the Federation and taking their star systems with them. It's their fiery balls of plasma, and they're going home.
The first faction to declare its independence is the Azaladju Free, and it is being seen as a litmus paper to judge whether the independence movement will snowball, because that's what litmus paper does. It snowballs. The Federation Navy is in attendance in Azaladju and in 3 other systems run by the Azaladju Free. If it quelled the rebellion, then that would be an end to it. If the Azaladju Free demonstrates that the Federal Navy is a spent force, then more factions, including the Coalition of Uteran, the LP 726-6 Free, and even Gluscap Labour, are likely to declare their independence to be free of the Snoopers Charter that Hudson and his Vice President have put in place.
And the war is going disastrously badly for Hudson. There seems to be little support for the federal forces, and the Azaladju Free, with nearly 5 times as many supporters and more than 10 times the number of kills, is well on the way to guaranteeing its independent status. The question now is how much further that litmus paper snowballs, and just how small the rump of the Federation turns out to be. Nesh Incorporated, the faction hosting the Federal Navy and signally failing to make inroads into the rebel forces, seems unlikely to be the President's favourite faction on Thursday, when the conflict will finish, and at least 4, possibly many more systems, leave the Federation forever.
They found what may have been the first recorded surface contact with Sargoids in the Coalsack Nebula, with still active barnacle refueling stations and a 200-year-old historical geological settlement. They found the sister ship to the Adamastor, the Hesperus, with its story of corporate rivalry and piracy, and the dredger that had been plundering the wreck. They found the Anaconda Proteus, with information left behind by the escaped science crew of the Hesperus, and they found the site of an ancient Guardian Thargoid battle with ruins and crashed ships, far from any other known Guardian sites. They did all this in the time since the discovery of the ancient ship Adamastor in October last year, with our help. And now the mysterious figure known only as Salvation wants to use knowledge gathered by the long-dead crew of the Hesperus to develop new deadly weapons to assist in the fight against the Thargoids.
With our help, Salvation has massively surpassed the feeble attempts of Tri-Superpower Anti-Thargoid Agency Aegis to gather research samples to develop new weapons. A message received by those who assisted Salvation in this effort makes it clear that Salvation sees Aegis as a rival, and that someone in the shadows, perhaps the fabled club, might be manipulating events. Here's that message in full.
Commander, this is Salvation. You have performed excellent work delivering Guardian artifacts to my associates at Taurus Mining Ventures, and I hope you are satisfied with the payment. I urge you not to trust Aegis. That organization is a hollow sham, built by those in power to distract the masses. They will never have the capabilities to deal with the xenological threat that I have. To that end, you must remain alert for the next phase of my project. I will have need of pilots of your caliber, because the work I am undertaking is of huge importance. Our governments have failed to protect us. Our corporations have become corrupt. Our weapons are insufficient. Our defenses are unreliable. I will change everything, with your help. I remain very truly yours, Salvation.
Salvation doesn't seem to be in any rush to continue their research. The smart money is on some sort of weaponry or other anti-xeno technology being ready in about 6 months. But that can only happen with our continued support for this mysterious character who's being treated as a villain by Aegis, by the Empire, the Federation and the Alliance, and whom the Pirates Federation has declared as untrustworthy. Can we trust him? Is Salvation really our only hope? Only time will tell if we were right to trust them.
The unexpected arrival of a space dredger at Kumo City has caused surprise and consternation. But Archon Delane's Kumo Council seems suspiciously comfortable with their new neighbours. Kumo City was opened recently on the 30th of April, following a campaign to establish Archon Delane as a power to be reckoned with in the galaxy, a campaign that saw significant support from the Sirius Corporation.
The dredger, which arrived on Thursday, is one of several operated by the criminal clan known as the Blue Viper Club. While most dredger clans spend their time in deep space, the Blue Viper ships are known to be drug smugglers and raiders, with several outposts devastated by their attacks, despite the claim by the Wallglass Detective Agency that none of their dredgers had ever before entered an inhabited system. The concern must be that with the crew of the dredger establishing contact with the Kumo Council, the Blue Viper Club may have stolen or salvaged something in deep space that may or may not be vital to the future of humanity. Perhaps something that will set Archon Delane up as a rival to Salvation. Perhaps something that will set him up as a major superpower.
But at this stage, we simply do not know. Attempts to interrogate the comms beacons on the dredger have succeeded only in extracting the message, "Bugger off, or we'll feed your ship to the dredger."
The tourist beacon at Mick Turner Base in the California sector BA-A East 6 system reads, "This Barkmound population is popular with scientists and sightseers alike. Its close proximity to an Alliance base has caused much speculation." Well, now it's the cause of quite a bit more speculation because the Barkmounds had vanished, not only from here, but from all around the galaxy. The scientists of the Canon have launched an appeal to find and restore Barkmounds to the galaxy. The appeal is presented by eminent research scientist, philanthropist, and pedant, Commander LCU, No Fool Like One.
It was once said that the bark mounds were so abundant that you could walk across the galaxy on the back of them. But sadly, these majestic organisms are now endangered. We first noticed they'd started to disappear on the 19th of May 3307. Once upon a time, the landscapes of many worlds were littered with these cone-shaped wonders, like a particularly persistent pimply rash. But now, those landscapes are barren wastelands, devoid of all organic life. If you can find any bark mounds at all, they'll just be a few lonely, isolated specimens instead of the joyous herds like traffic cones on a 20th century motorway. Throughout the airwaves, Canon researchers would be regularly heard announcing their bark mound discoveries.
Ooh, how exciting. There's some biological sites on this planet. I do hope it's crystalline Oh, it's bark mounds.
For fuck's sake, it's more of those fucking orange, pointy barking bastards. Fuck off, will ya?
Bark mounds. Really? Again?
It's bark mounds! Bark mounds! Bark mounds!
Oops, old bark mounds again. It's bark mounds, man. Why don't we just take off and nuke the site from orbit?
For fuck's sake, not more fucking bark mounds. But now, the airwaves are silent, and we mourn the loss of these fascinating organisms. Canon Research extensively studied the sounds made by the bark mounds, and what we found out may astonish you. Absolutely nothing. We found out nothing. At best, there's a vague similarity to Braintree noises, but frankly, that's quite a stretch. Tourists used to flock to Mick Turner Base, where there was an extensive field of bark mounds just outside. The bark mounds are now gone, and the tourist beacons dumped unceremoniously on a hillside. Independent pilots would joyously frolic around the fields of bark mounds, carefully harvesting the growths that would drop valuable materials, or sometimes using more intensive methods. But now the bark mounds are gone, and those that remain are only yielding inferior materials. Nobody knows why they're gone. Perhaps it's habitat change, or the human settlements springing up everywhere, or people harvesting them for who knows what purpose. We need you to help save the bark mounds. Please, put pressure on the Pilots Federation to preserve these organisms. We need them reintroduced at Mick Turner Base, where they can be protected against poachers by the no-fire zone. Do your bit. Save the bark mounds. Stop doing that.
If you'd like to make a donation to that appeal, please send your ARCs to Galnet News Digest, care of Alvin DeFeer, Hutton Orbital, Proxima Centauri, near Alpha Centauri, the Milky Way galaxy. And don't forget to mark your envelopes. I'm crazy for bark mounds.
And that's this year's LaveCon Galnet News.
Galnet News, we read the news, so you don't have to.
Crystal shards, no, it's bark mound. Oh, poison planet E6, volcanism maybe? Oh no, it's a bark mound.
Oh, there's biology down there. Oh, for fuck's sake, it's just bark mounds again.